Um, y'all, y'all, look, the camera's that way. Okay, I'll show you. She wanna be seen, let her be seen. Look at this view. Okay, so what is really cool? I mean, I'm late. What's new? But of course, I have a great excuse. I'm in the middle of a VIP weekend with a client and like a friend, Melissa. It's been really, really just, I have no script today. I never have a script, but usually I have bullet points of like talking points. This ain't one of those videos. I'm just because I'm on a high because right now she's getting her aromatherapy oil massage. And I thought it was a great chance for me to catch up on where I'm behind in life. I have a couple really exciting, interesting life updates. Number one is last video, I talked about the full body health assessment and then the scoliosis and all that stuff. And then I mentioned how I was so excited for the ADHD assessment in a couple days. And I am full-blooded, what? Full blown. She's like, girl, what? I have the disorder, the superpower. I'm learning to speak better about it. But yeah, it was confirmed within a few minutes of the verbal assessment. And I broke down the process in detail, but I'll share a little bit more just because, you know, I don't expect everyone to read all 20 slides of my graphics breakdown on Instagram, but it's pinned right now on Threads. I want to make it as accessible as possible for those who have been trying to get diagnosed and also need medication to focus better and assess areas of their life that, yeah, their prefrontal cortex has just neglected. And in the most simple terms, the way that I can best describe what having an ADHD brain is like is carrying all pieces of information all the time, nonstop. Like everything is important in perpetuity. There is no deadline, there's no expiration date for the information that you carry. So if you think about your cousin's birthday, this red dress that you like, it's going to rain tomorrow, and a driver's license number, you're just always carrying that information as if your brain is like, I don't know when you're going to need this, but I'm ready. And it's exhausting, exhausting at best, isolating at worst. And you don't know how to do basic tasks because the executive functioning part of your brain, the frontal lobe, is overwhelmed by all the information it's already carrying. And, transparently speaking, it's also not as big. So, an ADHD brain, the middle part of our brain is the biggest part of our brain, whereas the frontal lobe is it's a full, like uh, on a neurotypical brain, the frontal lobe could be this big. On an ADHD brain, it's like half the size. And I don't want to say it's underdeveloped, but it's differently developed. And so a basic task for someone else feels like rocket science or like summoning a mountain for an ADHD person. And it's not just about powering through and mustering the courage to do something because I am very ambitious. There are things that you don't have to tell me twice. And that impulsivity, which has become a superpower in entrepreneurship, is actually frowned upon in everyday life because the impulse to say something that most people would only think inside their heads, we might say out loud. And I remember probably at 12, the like really being conditioned to stop like talking my thoughts. I kept getting in trouble. I was perpetually detected, perpetually suspended, constantly in detention, always talking back to my teacher, and just I always rejected authority and I didn't know why. I just knew that I didn't understand why things were the way they were. And it's almost like I had to constantly question things out loud. Your teacher could be talking about, hey, everyone, we're going to talk about, World War II and how it affected, I don't know, France. And you'll be like, why? But not just why, but like, why would we want to learn something like that? I feel like that's stupid. Let's talk about something. And I would just say these things. And in the moment that I'm saying it, it did like I would say, like, huh, I don't know how this is going to be received. But I never felt like this is going to be received wrong. I would always think, I'm not sure how this will land, but it always landed wrong. Like the plane never landed right. I would just be taking off with my words without even checking the engines. And through maturity, through um, spankings, through whipping, through suspension, through almost expulsion, I've just learned to tame my tongue. I had a really sharp mouth and I just said whatever I felt. And I knew that I was the only person in my family that spoke like that. I was one of maybe two kids in my class, grade school, that spoke like that. And I knew that I was also really angry, but I didn't know why. So it's as if I was struggling with all of my complex emotions, trying to carry the weight of what I was feeling, not knowing how to maybe articulate it, feeling isolated and alone by being so different, wanting to voice my thoughts, maybe as like a cry for help, it never landing right. It just led to a deeper hole of like, you are not okay. Change who you are, quiet your thoughts, like lower your voice, be less. Like that was the messaging, was always be less. And something that I like really remember was even the most positive thing about a person, which is I think their laugh. Like someone laughing is it's always a it's joyful to hear someone laugh. And I remember a constant messaging from like relatives and family members is like, you laugh so loud, like lower your laugh, like stop laughing so loud. Or like when I laughed, my mouth would be big, like close your mouth, stop laughing so loud. So it just even if the most joyful thing a person can do was too much for the people in your life that you spent the most time with, it's like, whoa, it's just not safe to be me or to exist as this current version. Something is wrong. I don't know how we got here, but let me just, yeah, let me just raise hell. So I was just a very combative teenager. So, anyways, I say all that to say the diagnosis made so much sense. And I started to think about my dad, who passed away almost 12 years ago. And like the last time I saw him was when I was 11, which is another, oh my gosh, 23 years ago. So 23 years since seeing my father, and then him passing away a decade later, and then recognizing or realizing that you are just like him. So ADHD is genetic. And the first thing they said is that, oh, one of your parents have it. Like this was not developed or socialized. This was something that was passed on to you from one of your parents. And yeah, it's my dad. It's my dad. The person who was entrepreneurial but scattered, charming but chaotic, um, a visionary but disorganized. And I was like, oh, he was a great public speaker. He was a pastor, but he was a little careless. And I'm like, oh, that's arguably, I'm a carbon copy. And it's incredible how genetics work. Like, if you don't really take the time to study your family's medical history, I would encourage that. I don't think we ever had that discussion. Nigerian culture, it's a lot of things just aren't discussed. You just get on with life. And if you ask about something, it's like, why? Why do you need that information? Oh, because I'm visiting the doctor and he asked, and I need to know what our family's medical history is. But these aren't things that we share or talk about or even care to discuss because it feels like we're opening up a can of worms to a conversation that would feel vulnerable. And vulnerability is not a Nigerian thing. It is not a cultural thing. It's not something we do. We don't do emotions. We don't do vulnerability. We don't do we don't do talking about how we feel. So I say all of that because yeah, it's just there's so much learning, processing, digesting, unpacking, uncovering, and rediscovering through a diagnosis. And there were two medications that they talked about seeing how my body would respond to and my mind would respond to. One is a 4 to 6 hour, 4 to 6 hour focus pill. The other one is more 10 to 12 hours, which has like a more full day effect. And the side effects of both are like irritability, mood swings. And yeah, I've just been kind of every other day going back and forth between the two and just documenting how I feel, what I'm experiencing. Um, the mood swings are kind of like I'll be hungry and then I'm like, and then I'll just stop thinking about food, or I'll be tired and then I feel awake. So I do definitely feel that. It might be raining here, and I'm like, oh, I'll go into anxiety of like, oh, what if it rains for the whole week? And, our students and graduates are coming, and I panic. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, what if it does? So what? It'll be fine. So I don't know if that's part of the mood swing, but an interesting thing that I am seeing or I am recognizing is that my my short-term memory suffers at the cost of focus. When I am my normal, authentic, chaotic self, I can remember random random pieces of information at the same time. Like someone will tell me a random set of numbers, colors, and a date, and I'll remember all of it for as long as I need to because my brain will be like October 6th, October 6th, October 6th, October 6th, red, October 6th, red, October 6th, red, September, October 6th, red. And my brain will just recycle those words until they need to be used. And again, going back to what I said at the top of this video, you're carrying all this information, repeating it until you use it. But like you might not need to use it ever. But your brain is still saying, nope, I'm holding on to this just in case. So your brain is overworked and overwhelmed and exhausted from carrying information that doesn't matter in this moment. So when I took the 4 to 6 hour pill or the 10 to 12 hour pill, I noticed that like maybe I'm ordering food and I'll say, I want that. And I'll go on the next page and I'll be like, what did I say I wanted? That never happens. That would never happen without when I'm not taking the pills. So I'm like, wait a minute. I don't like that. One of like having a sharp memory is one of my favorite things about myself. And it's how I'm able to win arguments with Stefan, like, because I can remember everything. So I don't want to even the playing field. You know, there's no more leverage. But in all seriousness, it's a process, and I have a follow-up appointment with the psychiatrist in a month to assess whether these pills make sense long term, what the combination could be, and just figuring out like what how I can implement them in a way that still maintains the best parts of me. And so I'm not sacrificing what I love for this arbitrary idea of a more focused glow. So that has been it's been my week. It's yeah, I think I posted the other day for anyone else who's recently diagnosed to allow themselves ample time to grieve. I'll find myself crying like random times during the day because I'm just maybe overwhelmed processing this new information of who I am. And the tears are um they're not they have nothing to do with the medication. Like whether I'm on the medication or not, I'm crying every day. And it's just for a few minutes where I'm just like thinking about like just hugging the little girl who was told to constantly change who she was. And this process of grieving who you could have been if you were allowed to be who you actually are versus who you became because the world told you to change. So I think, I just think about her like, man, who would she be if she was just loved fully for who she was? And then I also look at my life now and I'm very grateful. This, I mean, this view, this villa, this life, my clients, um, my lifestyle, the opportunities, my friends, like I feel so blessed and so privileged in many ways. So I also see how this is all part of God's plan and everything is ordered, everything is covered, everything is provided. And this whole process has been humbling. And I'm reminded that it's actually the dysfunctional parts of us that connect us in real life. It's not my travels, it's not my business, it's not my interest that connects me to people. It's the parts that I struggle. It's the parts where I'm humbled. It's the parts where I'm human that people feel most connected to me. And if I keep that top of mind, I'm reminded that there is power in this journey and glory in the struggle. So this was a bit of a, I don't want to call it a low energy video, but um, I just wanted to honor what I'm really feeling. Mind you, I was like this on a high because I've been workshopping all day with Melissa, but while she's doing the massage, I'm like, I wanted to lower my voice just in case my voice is echoing. I'm sure she'll watch this video anyway, but I want her massage to be relaxing and not with my chaotic voice in the background. But other than that, we are welcoming cohort 2 of the Life Leap to Thailand. And yeah, we have a handful of them already here in the country. And as they're landing, the drivers that we arranged are sending photos with them holding up their name like a mugshot. It's the cutest. It's like they're getting off, several hours of being on a flight and then posing with their names. It's just hilarious. But this feels like the best case scenario, all of it. Being in Thailand right now, working in this way, giving them a graduation celebration. Um, Everything just feels so aligned. And I'm, you might look at my life and be like, oh, Glow's so, wow, she really planned everything to be If you only knew half of it, it's the best parts of my life are rarely planned. It's it's God. It's his divine guidance. It's uh me saying yes to the unknown. It's me not being afraid of not having answers. It's me holding space for transition. It's me saying yes to a full life. I think everyone has like a deep dream or a passion or a goal, and it stays as an idea until they have all the steps. I find the steps as I start moving. I see the steps as I start walking the path, and I'm okay stumbling as I step because I also know that also builds character and it's a part of the process too. You enjoying this? I've never had someone sit in on these videos. Okay, I think that's it. Okay. Anything else I have to say? All right. Well, if you're uh if you're watching this and you're in the life leap, we'll see you in a bit, huh? And for those still interested in joining the life leap, I think hands down, I think it's the most comprehensive, thorough, and um generous business program you'll ever invest in, you'll ever be a part of. Because it's not just coaching, it's community, it's curriculum, it's cheerleading, it's all of the above. And this cherry on top of a meetup, we're now in dozens of countries and yeah, we're just growing and it's just such quality people. And if there's something that I've learned over time, it's priceless when you work with people that you enjoy. There's no, it's invaluable. I can't put a price on it. It just makes your work so much more enjoyable. And if you feel like you're in a place where you're just not around positive people and you don't know how to get to that next level and you're just struggling with direction and instruction and permission, I'd love to invite you to join. Enrollment is still going until December 1st. So we'd love to have you check out thelifeleap.com. And I will see you next week. I'm sure there's many things I left out, but we'll save that for next week.